All right, it's 8 o'clock, so welcome to our Books on the Bay Library Project Q&A. Christine Perkins, who's the Executive Director of the Whatcom County Library System, is here with us, and she'll go through a short little presentation, and then we'll do some question and answers as well. So go ahead, Christine.
Sounds good. Well, as on cue, my cat Cosmo has come into the screen here. She insists on being part of all Zoom meetings, so please forgive me if I'm throwing her off my lap. Good morning. I'm so happy to see all of you. I recognize several names and faces, and I know many of you have been involved in the Birch Bay Library Project since its very beginning. So this may be a refresher or a reminder for you, but we're hoping to spread the word through the chamber about this project, because we know how supportive the chamber members have been of the project, and that you're very connected in your community and can share information with your neighbors and friends. So I've got a short PowerPoint here for you, and you may want to use the change to the active speaker view so that you can see the slides better, if that's helpful to you. So just a little background on Whatcom County Library System. We are the system that serves rural Whatcom County outside the city limits of Bellingham. We have 10 branches and our bookmobile all the way up in Point Roberts, over to Island, as far east as North Fork Library and Kendall, and down to South Whatcom. Some of you may be familiar with the bookmobile, which currently stops at the site of what we hope will be the future Birch Bay Library. And many people in Birch Bay, of course, use the Blaine Library. Some use Ferndale, some use Linden as well. And many of you may also use the Bellingham Public Library, which is a completely separate library system, but one that we're partnered with. So you have reciprocal borrowing rights to use their libraries as well. In our 75-year history of our system, we have had a cooperative arrangement with each of the communities that we serve, that the local community provide the library building and the library district provides everything else. The books and materials to check out, the library staff to help people, the IT infrastructure, the furnishings in the buildings. Basically, the operations of the library are what is funded by your tax dollars going to run those things. But the local community comes forward with the money for building the library. In some cases, those libraries are owned by cities. So the city of Blaine, Linden, Everson, Sumas, and Ferndale all own their buildings and have built them for the library. And in the unincorporated areas of Whatcom County, the local community members have come together, done lots of fundraising, and in some cases physically built the library in years past. So it's a combination of things that happens depending on the community. In Point Roberts, the building is actually owned by the Park District, but we have an arrangement with them to operate the library in that building. Some of the funding has happened through private donations, and some of the funding has happened through taxes. So for example, in the city of Ferndale, there were a bunch of private donations there. The city of Ferndale kicked in a bunch of money, and then to get the final mile to the total amount needed for their project, they went out to voters within the city limits of Ferndale and asked them to fund that. So in terms of a library in Birch Bay, our library system did a facility study back in 2008, looking at all areas of Whatcom County. And it was very evident even at that time that the Birch Bay community was growing, and that the services needed in terms of library service for the community were anticipated to grow as well. Back in 2015, a group of citizens got together and started talking about what they could do to help promote the creation of a library in Birch Bay. And they gathered informally for a while and eventually became the Friends of the Birch Bay Library. In 2016, our system did a service area analysis and we sent out a survey to over 1,000 Birch Bay residents. Some of you may have responded to that survey. The support for building a library was overwhelmingly positive. 82% said, yes, we would love to have a library in Birch Bay. And 80% of the people who responded to that survey said that they thought that finding a modest tax to fund it would be an appropriate way to find the resources to have this happen. Our analysis of the area showed that currently, as you know, approximately 8,400 year-round residents with major growth projected over the next 20 years. We've heard from many of you the challenges of having children living in your local community, having to bus to Blaine for school, and having a lack of activities and places to go in the after school hours once they're back in the Birch Bay community. We have currently about 5,200 library card holders from Birch Bay. And as I mentioned, many of those folks use the Blaine Library and also our bookmobile, as well as Ferndale and Linden. Back in 2016, some of our friends alerted us to property for sale on Birch Bay Drive. And I think Dorley is here today. She's one of the folks who let us know about this opportunity. Our library system hired Zervis Architects, a local architecture firm, to do a site assessment for us and let us know if that site would be feasible to build a library of sufficient size to serve the Birch Bay community. We did consider many alternate sites and did tours around Birch Bay, trying to identify the best location. And ultimately, the location really kind of spot in the middle of Birch Bay, right along Birch Bay Drive, super visible and accessible to people at the north end of the bay and the south, really did rise to the top as a prime location for a library. So in 2017, the board voted to purchase this property so that we would have the opportunity to build something there in the future. It's really a new thing for our library system. In the past, we haven't gotten in the business of purchasing properties. Like I said, the local community has always arranged that. But at the time, our friends were really energetic and excited about this and persuasive, and said this is an opportunity that might pass us by if we didn't take advantage of it while it was available. And so there was a memorandum of understanding between us and the Friends group that spelled out some of the terms of buying this property. And one of it is that ultimately the fundraising for the whole building project would reimburse the library system for fronting the money for the purchase of the land. In 2018, the system hired Zervis Architects again to conduct community input meetings, a whole process, and develop a preliminary building design, because having that design in our head would be helpful in sharing the vision out with the community and letting you know what could be in Birch Bay. So there were a series of community meetings, and again, many of you may have attended those. We had some at the BP Heron Center, there were some at the local church, and also on the property itself, where we gathered the community's hopes and dreams for a library building and started looking at the realities of how these would fit on the site. You can see on the right-hand side, there's Mr. Lisi and others who are looking at the site and trying to do a massing study. What can you fit on the site and accommodate a library of sufficient size? And ultimately, what we heard from people is they really love the look of the historic building on the site, but there were many more features and amenities that they were hoping to gain in a new library building. And it turned out that the current size of the building, the placement of it on the site, and also the condition of the building just weren't meshing with what the public was asking for in the design of the building. So ultimately, what Zervis came up to as a preliminary design is a new structure that looks significantly like the existing home that's on the site, but it is built to modern specifications. It is LEED Silver certified as required by our state law, and that means it's more energy efficient. It brings the whole building a little closer to the road in order to accommodate the size of building that's necessary for a community, the size of Birch Bay, as well as all of the parking spaces that are required by code, the fire lane, etc. So what we think they came up with is something that is really in keeping with the character of the community, with the seaside feel of Birch Bay, that will bring a lot of beautiful light into the building and a lot of opportunities for people to be in looking out at the beautiful bay in Birch Bay. So the building design is at 7,600 square feet. There's a reading porch here, obviously the fireplace. There is a meeting room on the side of the building, children's area and teen area, lots of great views in the library. And I think it really represents such an amazing potential for a wonderful community gathering space and a great resource for the community. I know that this overhead view of the library is very hard to see on Zoom. We do have links to this on the Friends of the Birch Bay Library page and on the website. Our library, WCLS.org, has a section for the Birch Bay Building Project as well, and we'll make sure to get this added in there. But suffice to say that here's the reading porch, some adult collections here, a teen area. There's this side entrance into the building. So if you're walking or maybe driving a golf cart to the library, you can park here and come in. We envision checking out sand pails and shovels for kids who might be visiting the area and coming in and out here to go use the public access to the beachfront that comes as part of the library property. The project cost continues to be refined as we learn more from Zervis Architects. They've been doing a county pre-application process and getting more detailed cost estimates here. Altogether, when you add it up, turnkey, it will come to about $6.8 million. One thing that has been phenomenal is the work of the Friends of the Birch Bay Library in doing fundraising. And one of the biggest elements here is that the Friends worked closely with our local legislators to secure a $2 million state appropriation from the Department of Commerce. This will be available to the community if the community secures the remaining funds to build the project. So we have asked to have this extended into the next state biennial budget. Obviously, COVID slowed our plans down a little bit, and we need this to carry forward into 2021 to 2023 budget. But if the community can raise the remaining funds, then this $2 million will be ours, which brings down the total cost to the community to 4.35. The way that Birch Bay can contribute to the funds needed for this project is through what's called the Library Capital Facilities Area. Excuse me, my cats are having a hustle here. This is an interesting mechanism within state law. RCW Chapter 2715 gives voters the ability to establish this independent taxing authority to build library facilities. And these LCFAs are voted on and then exist only for the term of the building project and the resolution of any bonds or loans that are taken out to raise the funds. and then it goes away. It must be approved by a supermajority vote of the voters. So over 60% of the voters have to say, yes, they support this. And furthermore, 40% of the voters who voted in the last general election must vote. So there is a very high threshold to meet to make sure everybody in the community is in favor of this. And we hope that, of course, voters will support this. Right now, the plan is to bring this to voters at the November 2nd, 2021 election. And the projected cost for this would be 13 cents per $1,000 of assessed valuation. So if you look at the average home price currently in Birch Bay at $350,000, the cost would be just under $4 a month. So very modest cost, but it gets a beautiful library for Birch Bay. The boundaries of the area are shown on this map. And again, we will be linking to this on the Friends of the Library website as well as the library system website. It'll be a searchable map. You can type in your address and see if you land in this area of the proposed district. It's basically around the edge of Semiahmoo, which of course is part of the Blaine city limits, goes around the bay here to the tip of Point Whitehorn, Grandview. I believe this is Blaine Road. You guys will
Jackson.
Jackson, is that right?
Yeah, it's Jackson.
Excuse me. And then it continues out here up to Kickerville. This is Birch Bay London Road. And this is just south of Loomis Trail here, Loomis and Lincoln. So that is the area of the LCFA. And I will just say that we've been working very closely with the Friends of the Birch Bay Library. Several of the members are here today. They're doing a combination of fundraising and awareness about the event. And they're also working with local folks who are interested in promoting the LCFA. Dianne, I believe I just heard your voice, so you must be back here in the meeting. I'll turn it over to you if you have anything specific you'd like to share with the chamber at this time.
I just want to say thank you all for coming. The Friends are having some events this summer. We're working with the chamber and you're going to see a lot of us. If you have any questions, you can always get a hold of me and I'll put my contact information in the chat. One of the things that we have been working on is talking to the county council about the project. And we talked with our county executive, Sadhu, about almost 2 weeks ago at this point. And we had an overwhelmingly wonderful meeting with him, and he really supports the project. We're going to be meeting with some county council members this week, tomorrow, and we're hoping to meet with a few more next week, and just really trying to let the county know what's happening in Birch Bay and how the berm and the park and the library are really going to enhance our area, and we would like their support for the library. And so far, we have that support. So, like I said, I'll put my contact information in the chat. And then if you'd like to volunteer, if you'd like to come out to a meeting, Christine's got it up, so thank you. Please let me know. And if you have any questions about the project, you can always contact me. I make house calls, so if you'd like me to come by and have a chat that way or drop something off if you need it, I am more than happy to do that. So that's what I have. Dorley, I don't know if you want to have, if you have anything else to add.
I will just mention that Michael Cox, our Whatcom County Library System Deputy Director, is here. He's been coordinating the building design and construction with Service Architects, and also working very closely with our State Department of Commerce, as well as the State Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation. We're looking at ways to incorporate elements of the existing home into the design of the current building. And we're also very sensitive to the fact that there are potential cultural artifacts on the site related to the thousands and years or more use of the site by members of the Salish Coast tribes, the Lummi Nation or the Semiahmoo. So we're working on that to make sure that we build a library that does not disturb that those artifacts.
Hi, Di, thanks. I have nothing to add. It's all sounding great.
One other thing I'll point out is that we've worked with our friends and our Whatcom County Library Foundation on what we call named gift opportunities. There are areas within the library that may be of interest to people, and it's a way of doing some fundraising to help offset the cost of this project and also get some recognition for the donors. It could be an individual, it could be a business. The fireplace area, for example, might be one that someone might be interested in naming. There'll be a prominent donor wall near the entrance of the library as well, and gifts over, I believe over $500 will be recognized on a donor wall. So anyone interested in named gift opportunities can contact our Library Foundation for that information.
I went ahead and put all those
answer questions.
Yeah, I put all those contact information that you have on that in the chat there. So if anybody's looking for those contacts there, you can easily copy and paste them out of the chat. Yeah, we'll open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions this morning for the Friends of Birch Bay Library or for Christine?
Just curious on the assessed value of the area. Do you have a figure on that yet?
Don't have an exact amount, Patrick. We are working with a local surveying company to get actual meets and bounds definition of the thing that will be then communicated to the assessor's department.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
I know we're waiting on funds and things, but is there a projected year that this project will start?
Sure. If the bond or the LCFA is successful in November, we are very primed and ready to begin construction documents towards the end of the year, early next year. So would hope to break ground in 2022. Something of this size can take more than a year to build. So it would likely be 2023 at some point. But the older I get, the faster things seem to happen. So it'll be upon us before you know it.
Diane, do you want to talk about some of the events that we have planned for the summer?
So we are going to be working with the Chamber, and our first event is going to be June 19th. We're doing the Kite Festival on the library site. So the Friends, Blaine Birch Bay Park in Rec District 2 and the Chamber will host the Kite Festival. We'll have a hot dog fundraiser for the Friends. We'll have some activities for families, and Park and Rec is going to have some lawn games. So that'll be a really fun event. We'll have a movie night the night before. So on June 18th, we will be showing Angry Birds, and you can get some library information at that event. We'll be doing Sandcastle weekend in July. I believe it's the 23rd. Is that the right weekend, Danielle?
Yeah, 23rd, I think 23rd, 24th, and 25th. I can double check that.
So Sandcastle and Rollback will be on the site and available for people to ask questions. We'll have a book sale done and do some fundraising, and probably have a make and take craft as well. And then Discover Birch Bay Days is going to be in September. 3rd, 4th, and 5th, if I have that weekend right. The friends will be on site as well. We are planning some other events. So one of the things that we're going to do this summer is a history harvest and with the library system. And that event, they're really fun. So we're looking for Birch Bay history and stories, things we can take pictures of, because this would be the first collection that is for Birch Bay, and it would be on Birch Bay history. So if you are interested and you have some things that you could donate, or you have more questions about that, please let me know. We already do have some items that we've been made aware of that we can start cataloging. And the other piece of that is if you like to tell stories and you're not afraid to be recorded, we would love to capture some oral stories. And it's just really going to be fun for our community to get some of the history down that we've heard these stories for many years, but now we can actually have that in the collection and keep that. The Friends will have a town hall meeting in the summer, so we'll get those dates out to you. And as we move through the summer into the fall, the library and the Friends will be having some informational meetings to just talk about the project and really get a feel for how everybody's feeling about the LCFA. And also, we really want to make sure that we've answered all your questions. So if you have questions and concerns or something that pops up, Christine, myself, Michael, we're all available to answer those questions. And we just want to make sure that everybody has all the information. So that is our plan for this year. And we'll have some things that pop up. We'll just make sure that we get that information out to everybody with dates. If you would like to be a community captain, so we're looking for neighborhood captains to help us get the word out because we have a fairly large community. We would love to hear from you. We're going to start having community captain meetings and getting information to everybody to hand out to those in their communities. So I think that's all the information I have right now. Is there anything I've left out, Danielle? Oh, I did, a major one. On May 8th, we are going to be hosting on the library site.
It's called the Red Road to DC. It's a totem pole that the Lummi have created.
It's the House of Tears Carvers.
Okay. The
Yeah.
Pierce Carvers, and the totem pole is leaving from Lummi, I believe, and traveling all through the United States to get to DC.
Neat.
Yeah, so that's going to be really fun, and we're planning the event right now, and we'll get that information out to everyone. It's a short turnaround for this, but we were really just honored that they thought about coming to Birch Bay. So it's going to be nice to have that on the site.
Yeah, I talked to Freddie Lane, who's one of the people organizing the event yesterday, and the story of the totem pole is amazing, and what they're doing with the trip is really, really fun. So we're excited to have that. Any other questions this morning? Got a quiet group this morning.
Well,
Christine, how can we help you get the word out about the LCFA? You're muted.
Thank you. At least today, I've got to be stuck on mute. Really, I so appreciate this opportunity to speak to the chamber in these book chats, and anything we can partner with you on chamber events to get the word out. Really, we're open to any opportunities at this point. The Friends really are hoping to identify neighborhood or community captains so that each neighborhood is represented and has knowledgeable people who can talk to friends and neighbors out at their mailbox or when they're out doing their gardening and that kind of thing. So if you hear of people who are really interested, please point them in the direction of Dianne and let's get them hooked in.
one thing I've seen around the Birch Bay area that I would love to get, and I'm sure other people would too, is the yard signs that say with the Sasquatch. They're so cute. How does somebody go about getting one of those?
Email Diane. She's got a stack of them and we'd be happy to share them out. Yeah, they say, I believe in libraries, and they're a way of just kind of getting people thinking, oh yeah, you know, a library would be a great thing to have here in Birch Bay. And we agree, we believe too.
Yeah, and if you'd like, I can deliver that to you. So
Okay.
yeah.
Could you put a pile or deliver a pile to the chamber? When we were doing voting for the Blaine Birch Bay Park and Rec District, I dropped yard signs off at the Blaine Chamber as well as the Birch Bay Chamber. People come in, and if there's a few of them, you know, leaning up against the wall, people will ask, well, can I have one of those? So if you drop a few off there, Di, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. And you can talk to Danielle and Sasha about where to put those.
Right. And I'm sure, I know there's a group of people starting to think about the political campaign itself. And I'm sure that identifying businesses who might be willing to host a sign or banner, a larger one on their property, would be another great help. Group.
Will the vote go out to everyone in the county, or will it be based on district, mostly Birch Bay?
It's just based on who's in that service area, the LCFA area that I identified on the map. So if you live out of that line, nope, you won't get to vote, but you also won't have to pay. So.
I'm curious, how was that LCFA area, how was that defined?
Well, we took a look at the area of the people in Birch Bay who identified as Birch Bay when they signed up for library cards. We also looked at making sure we weren't doing anything in the Blaine city limits, because that would be, you know, more closely affiliated with Blaine. We looked at driving patterns and where people go. We looked at the school district boundaries and realized there's an area there that is more closely aligned, that the Custer area might be more closely aligned with Ferndale. And we looked at kind of residences and who might logically be able to drive fairly easily up to the Birch Bay Library where it's located. So there was some consultation with our friends of Birch Bay Library who live in the area as terms of who thinks of themselves as Birch Bay in that area. Great. Well, thank you all so much today. I'm sure.
Before we leave, Patricia's going to show them the book. This is Wizard of Oz, one of the books from that, which is really, it's sort of really interesting in how changed thinking of people in the country. This book here is as old as the original Vogt house. So I just had to show that. No, I'm not going to donate this.
What?
No, but listen, I would do funny little things like this. This is sort of like a pog. That's Chief Seattle. And on the back is a link to a book with somebody reading the book about Chief Seattle. There it is. So
Very
I
cool.
do some things like that. And no, I don't want to be a neighborhood captain, but you know that we'll do anything we can do to help support the library.
Thank you so much, Patrick. And I want to point out there's a modern book now called Finding Dorothy, which is about the wife of L. Frank Baum. And it's really interesting about the history of him writing those books. So
Yes.
I want to look at that.
I'll have to find that book, Finding Dorothy.
Check it out from the Whatcom County Library, right?
That's exactly right, Patricia.
Yeah, I do worry about people's reaction to taxes. You know, they hear taxes, they go, ah! And a few months ago, the mayor of Blaine was saying to me, well, it'd be interesting to see, you know, what Blaine's taxes look like now, what Birch Bay's taxes. I says, I'll put it together and show it to you. So I started working on this, and I'm thinking, I don't want to tell anybody this. They'll just get upset. But it takes money to pay for this stuff. And you got to use the system that you have. So, yeah, anything I can do, I'm quite happy to do.
So Birch Bay's higher than Blaine.
She says, is Birch Bay higher than Blaine? Yes. And then we have a lot of supplements that we throw into taking care of Birch Bay that really adds to the taxes. So I hate to see a negative reaction on paying taxes.
Sure. I think you're absolutely right. And this is a question that goes out to voters, and is it worth it to them? And they'll decide. I think in this time of the pandemic, when there's been so much sadness and hardship and difficulty, that the prospect of some positive change happening in the community, something that builds something to last for future generations, something that we can all benefit from moving forward, that's something great to become part of and get involved in. And I hope people will see this as a sign of hope and of the future, and support it for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
$4 a month for what we're getting, it seems, really reasonable.
The real conservatives say, pay your way. I'm willing to pay my way. And if you need some help, I'll help you out too. Okay.
I have a question, Christine. Do we know yet what Northwest Fire and Rescue will be asking for in August? Do we have any idea?
I have not heard an update from them in a while, so that's a good note to make sure we check in with them.
Yeah, because I think they're putting up something maybe in August. I did hear. The other thing is that I think we will have the census numbers out by the time of the November election.
Mhm.
And I just wouldn't even venture a guess at what Birch Bay will come in at. I think the census taking this past year, there probably have been some issues of, we had census workers wandering all around our home and in the alley, and Birch Bay is such a difficult place to get any sense of the census. So I don't know whether, it will really be close to correct this year, because there were so many Canadians are supposed to sign, but they're afraid to. And of course, they weren't here over the years. So I don't know what the census will read, but it will come out. And of course, I think we have grown. So that will be, I believe, some impetus to talk about. We're just not a little teeny community any longer, and we need to begin to work for some of these amenities so we can grow. And our future, of course, will be sometime. I don't know, Pat, whether when the county starts really saying, all right, grow up, Birch Bay. Somehow I've heard that when a population gets over 10,000, there begins a sort of a push and a shove by the county, possibly, for us to get moving and incorporate. I don't know.
I don't know.
So that'll be.
The county does the best possible job they can do, but they're really not the right tool. But we'll talk about that some other time. The big thing is focus in on the library, focus in on getting people support to the library, and let's get the thing built.
Totally agree.
Just say, for business owners, libraries are known to be great anchor institutions, bringing more traffic into the area. And not traffic bad, traffic jams, but more, even more foot traffic and more visitors that are coming past local businesses. So hopefully that's a support to all of you in your endeavors.
Yes, and it isn't just more traffic. It's more traffic of the right people. We had a lot of beer establishments around Birch Bay. Gosh, it was like, oh no. And I send people down to the new one. It's really nice, but I'm so glad we don't have one near us anymore. And you want to have people come here who can appreciate what we have at Birch Bay. You know, the nature, the open air, the tides. Hey, the library. Sure, you want them to come here and appreciate those things. And the berm, the path of the berm is a really, really good addition for Birch Bay. So we want people to appreciate these and yes, support them because we need to be able to maintain them. I'll be quiet now. It's hard.
It'll be a great tie-in when the park is completed with the berm and the beach access there. I think it's just a great nexus of community right in the heart of Birch Bay.
In talking to Sap Paul when he came out, the executive, we were standing on the front lawn chatting, and he was asking about the park property or where the library property went, you know, up to the trees there between towards the greenhouse, the Vogt home. And then I said, and of course the park is right on the other side of the Vogt home. And he said to me, well, I guess we'll have to get that middle piece of property when it comes up. And I was like, yeah.
Wait a minute. You know, one of the things that I get concerned about is that we don't want to take the most valuable property and use it for public facilities. We want somebody to build something on it so we can tax them.
Yeah, I know. That's your song.
Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Christine, for your presentation. I do believe we're going to do another one of these this summer and one in the fall. Was that right?
Yes, we will be.
Okay, we'll get those
Happy to
dates
join
out.
you. Thank you so much, Danielle, and thanks to all the chamber members for being here today.
And
Appreciate
Mr.
it.
Elsie, if you'd like, I have this
Didn't
book
put
for
on
you.
my T-shirt.
Oh, that's right. Here. There it is.
Oh, that one's cute. I like that, Pat. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks,
Okay.
Danielle, for
Thanks,
hosting.
Danielle.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye-bye.